As much as I want to dance and shout, I've got to deliver this word today. I've got to get through it. And so many of you were in my message today, from the intercessor to the exhorter, and that we're walking in the same vein. And I love when God moves upon us and we're walking in the same vein. The Bible puts it like this: how could two walk together except they be agreed? We don't have to be in the same place to agree. In an atmosphere like this, you need some people who can agree with you. And look around the room and I need to make eye with those who agree with me. You ain't got to touch me. I ain't got to touch you. I just need to know that you're in agreement with me for what God wants to do in me and through me. I just need a couple people to agree. I want to know who's working with me. So we get into this word, Jeremiah 3. I'm going to be jumping around Jeremiah a little bit today. I'm just going to read 1 through 3. I have a little bit more text than I normally do on a Sunday morning, but this is the word that God gave me to give you. And it was so evident on yesterday. And this is the word of the Lord. Then Joshua, I believe this is the New King James Version. Excuse me. I think this is New King James. Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and they set out from Acacia Grove and came to the Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they crossed over. So it was after 3 days that the officers went through the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, when you see Joshua, I did say Jeremiah, didn't I? Joshua, you see, I must have been in both. Joshua, I apologize. Let me read that over, since y'all was looking like, she said Jeremiah, Joshua. Then Joshua rose early in the morning, the other book of Joshua, and they set out from Acacia Grove and came to the Jordan. He and all the children of Israel enlarged there before they crossed over. So it was after 3 days after the officers went through the camp, and they commanded people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant, the Lord your God, the priest, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall go out, you shall set out from it, your place, and go after it. I want to read that last part. And they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priest, and the Levites, bearing it, then shall you set out from your place and go after it. Before you take your seats, I need you to grab one person. You know I like neighbors. And said, I need you today to make up your mind that you're going to go after it. Come on, that's our title today. I need you to make up your mind that you're going to go after it. Go ahead and take your seats. Let me jump into the teaching part of this for those who made up their mind to go after it. Bishop hit this. Sarah hit this. She talked about the Israelites in the promised land, and Bishop talked. I said, okay, y'all gonna preach my sermon today, but let me start here. I have 28 minutes to do this. In 2024, I need y'all undivided attention. If you have not shared this, I'm gonna ask you to share. This is a word before 2025 comes that everybody needs to receive. Before 2025. So this is the pre-New Year's. If we did a watch night, this is it, watch day. 2024, God positioned us for the year of big. Blessings increase in glory. And I know oftentimes when we start a series or a teaching or a declaration, we start out strong, and somewhere along the middle, we kind of forget what we declared, or we kind of forget what it was that we said or we committed to. But this year, in the year of big, I'm sure for some of you it's been a very challenging year to be declaring big things, blessings, increase, and glory. And then somewhere around August, let me walk through this. Bishop said that God told him why we weren't seeing manifestation is because we weren't thinking big. And somewhere around August, he started introducing the purpose to think big. Who remembers that? And from thinking big, he began to challenge our mindset to align with the posture of big, because God has an inability to lie. And if God said it, then something must have been wrong with our ability to receive and apply. And he said we had to change our posture of big. And then this prophet I know, she picked it up with, you need faith to believe big. And she began to talk about imploring your faith to shift your mindset to better. Who remembers that? And that God promised us a better way, but we had to have faith to walk into big. And so it brings us here today. I believe this is the second week or the end. It started on a Sunday of December. We're into the second or third week of December. And Bishop said that we're still living big. And I started with this passage because I realized at the end of the year, there are many of us that make a lot of promises of what we're going to do different next year. Before we even get out of this year, all the things that we did not do and say, I'm so glad y'all shouted before, because this word is going to be a little heavy today. And in this passage, here it is, Joshua, where he's talking to the children of Israel today. Can I walk the text? And this is the issue here. They were on the brink of the promised land again. Tell your neighbor, again. Sometimes we find ourselves in places, you said, this looks familiar. I've been here before. How did I wind up in this same predicament again? But this time they're under the leadership of Joshua instead of Moses. I feel like teaching the text today. And here it is that they're on the edge of this promised land that we've heard so much about. He's given them an opportunity to live big. Why? Because the children of Israel have been in a place of captivity and slavery. Not just captivity, but slavery also. Because you can be in captivity and not be a slave. Do you understand the difference here? And so God promised them, he says there's a land of prosperity and provision. I need y'all to take notes today. I know it's Sunday. We may shout on the end if you can receive this. He said, I want to give you a land of prosperity and provision for all of the heartache and all of the suffering that you went through, being captive and being enslaved. He says, I want to give you a land that's fertile and sustainable. You might have heard, if you spend any time in Sunday school, that this land flows with milk and honey. And to us, that makes no sense. But he's talking about provision. Because when you're in slavery, you don't own nothing. He said, you are my elect ones. You are VIP and don't even know it. So I've got to put you in a place to let you know really who you are. Because sometimes your circumstances makes you forget. It makes you not recognize the truth. And you start to define yourself based on what your circumstances look like. Somebody say, come on, y'all not here. Y'all not hearing me. Somebody say, go after it. So here it is that the land is prophetic because God told them that this land was theirs. But this is what happened. I love history, and I got to give you this because I know sometimes we find ourselves in situations again. You're like, I was delivered from this. Why am I here again? Why did I make that choice again? And Israel finds themselves right back at this place because Numbers 13, from my history people, 40 years prior, they were at this same gate of promise. Here it is again. God doesn't change his mind because we don't have the level of faith to believe that it doesn't match the level of the assignment. He doesn't change his mind because you quit. And so Israel was on this edge in Numbers the 13th chapter under Moses this time, after they had been delivered from Egypt. But this time they didn't have to cross the Jordan. This time they had to go and have somebody spy the land. Are y'all understanding this? This time when they went, they saw giants in the land. If you spend any time in church, you might have remembered somebody preaching that. We might have preached that here. They saw giants in the land. The 12 spies went out, the same promise of the land being fertile, the same promise of the land being sustainable, the same promise of the land being ours, having our own stuff because we are God's elect. Now there are giants in the land, and giants represent blockers. Anybody got some blockers, some things that are blocking them, preventing them from moving forward? And sometimes giants are relational. Sometimes they're financial, sometimes they're social, sometimes they're educational, but whatever your giant is today, you're coming right back to that same point to watch that joker eyeball to eyeball, because God doesn't change his mind about what he said. What's for you is for you. But the children of Israel were distracted by the giants. Many of us are distracted by things that seem to be beyond our ability to defeat. And we focus on the big things. We focus on the problem things. We focus on the hurt things. We focus on the disappointed things, and we forget about what it is that God said. I need to take a turn here, grab your neighbor, and I'm coming back, but I need to go the scenic route for a second to make sure you get this. Because Israel's problem wasn't just them independently. They had disconnected leadership. I feel God in here. They had disconnected leadership. The leaders had a responsibility to simply report what they saw. They were sent in as spies. God had already made the promise. It wasn't their responsibility to make it happen. Their responsibility was to report what they saw to the people. But when you have broken leadership, you have broken ministries. Oh, I know y'all weren't going to like that today. Yes, the weight is on the leaders, because it was 12 leaders from the 12 tribes that went. Their job was to let them know that God is going to do what he said. But the leadership was blind to the promise. They were blind to the promise. It ain't nothing worse than the blind leading the blind. And here it is, the leadership lacked the necessary faith to move the congregation forward. Israel was a congregation, and the leadership was the hindrance to the congregation. Why? They chose opposition over opportunity. They made a decision to focus on the problems over the opportunity that God had placed before them. I'm glad y'all quiet, because I got this. So here it is that the leaders within themselves could not walk in the faith because they deflected their own views against themselves. The Bible said that the leaders said that we saw ourselves as grasshoppers. The giants never called them that, but the leaders called themselves that. And then they went back and reported that to the people. Y'all hearing me today? They saw themselves insignificant, the ones that God put the weight and the liberty to move forward. The weight of his call on the leadership to move the generation to next. They were scared. They didn't believe in what God said. And so all they could communicate was fear. That's why division came in the camp. Are y'all hearing me today? They deduced themselves from a royal status to a bug. God told them that they were a royal priesthood. 1 Peter 2:9 said, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people. But they deduced themselves that they didn't have the faith to believe what God said, but they had this assignment to lead. And it's horrible when you got an assignment to lead and you yourself feel insignificant. Are y'all hearing me today? Their only requirement was to believe God. But they were weak in their faith. Shake your neighbor. They were weak in their faith. They could not close the deal. They couldn't close the deal was theirs. If you've ever had a great opportunity and you messed it up with your mouth, you messed it up with your inability to believe, you messed it up. They couldn't close the deal. It was already done. And so here it is that there's a lot of weight on the leaders, and the leaders feel, why is the responsibility on us to carry this? God told them to send 12, and 10 came back with the inability to believe too. There's something called the Pareto principle, where 20% of the people do all the work. 80% sit on the sideline and watch and judge and criticize. But there were 2 that came back. I feel like preaching this thing today. And so here it is that the people, instead of them knowing God for themselves, depended only on the word of a backwards leadership. They didn't know God for themselves, and they put the responsibility and the power on the leaders. They chose not to trust God, even though the Bible said that they had been trained also in the ways of the Lord. So they really could not blame the leaders only for the inability to move forward, because God allowed Caleb and Joshua to come back and give them a great report. But they refused to realign themselves with the word, because they rejected the minority report because it wasn't popular. Oh, I feel God up in here. They rejected that, and they decided to go with the majority, even though it's not benefiting them. As God's elect, they retreated to their perspective, and they started to believe beyond what God said. He had already told them that the promise is yours, and that the giants are simply babysitting your stuff until you get boldness enough to take it. Oh, y'all not hearing me today. They're trying to intimidate you, but they really can't touch you. Why? Don't you know everything God said at the beginning of the year still is true, but you don't have the boldness to take it. He said this was your big year, and if you didn't experience year, don't blame the leaders. Look at yourself. What didn't I do to encounter my next? But today, I'm going after it. I'll go a little further. As a result of them making the decision, Jesus, to not believe God at the brink of the promise, they went through something called wilderness. And we spend a lot of time talking about a wilderness experience, but some of you have no idea what wilderness really is. What you're having is uncomfortability. It's not really wilderness. But wilderness is a place of sifting. I need you to grab the person. It's a place of sifting. It's a place that will remove everything that's not promise worthy. I'm talking about wilderness. What should have been an 11-day journey turned out to be 40 years. That's a lot of removing stuff that doesn't belong and promise. Some of the things you're battling is because he's not done removing yet. You're still in wilderness because you still got some stuff that can't go to promise. Are y'all hearing me today? So here it is that Israel made a decision where they're supposed to pass through for 11 days to live there. It's like making a hotel a home. The place that's supposed to be temporary, you have become comfortable. Can I go a little bit further today? I'm down to 13 minutes. But the promise remained intact because God doesn't change his mind, because the level of faith doesn't match the call. He never changes his mind, but here we go again. Say, here we go again. It brings us to the passage today. You're like, how is she going to bring that in? I'm glad you asked. That we find ourselves now back at this same place, but this time the Jordan is in front of us. Last time we could just walk in, but we saw something that wasn't really there. So this time he puts a Jordan in front of us. And this is the prophetic piece, is the beginning of a divine shift between leadership and fellowship. This is where succession is taking place. What do you mean? The Bible said in Deuteronomy 1:35 that not one of these evil generations shall see the good that I swore to give to your ancestors. Every person who rejected the promise in the first will not see or even experience this promise this time. Are we understanding this? So we're talking a whole new generation with the exception of Joshua and Caleb. We're back at this same place, and I want you to imagine them passing down what happened in Numbers. And the leaders now standing, you got new leaders now, which is why what happened to us yesterday, if you miss a station break, if you miss going to the park because you thought it was something boring and something better to do, God released a prophetic word from somebody who's not a prophet. God released a word of exhortation from somebody who hadn't even said, I have no calling or nothing. God used a baby to speak a word to us. That's the season we're in now. Somebody say, I'm going after it. Yesterday, they made up the mind, Bishop, to go after. And whatever their Jordan was, they decided yesterday, I'm going through it. I'm not going to allow Jordan to stop me one more time. I've been in this place before. Every time I make up my mind that I'm going to do what God wants, Jordan comes before me. But today, I'm going through it. So here it is. Let's go back to the text, Joshua, the 3rd chapter. And let me jump down to verse 3 to verse 6. It says, then Joshua spoke to the priests, saying, take up the ark of the covenant and cross over before the people. So they took the covenant, the ark of the covenant, and went before the people. Don't miss that. Verse 8, you shall command the priests who bear the ark of the covenant, saying, when you have come to the edge of the water of the Jordan, you shall stand in the Jordan. Verse 10, and Joshua said, by this, okay, that's it, you shall know that the living God is among you. We're about to handle this thing now. That he will without fail drive out before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Girgasites, the Amorites, and the Jebusites. If you don't know, those were the giants in the land 40 years prior that they said that we were grasshoppers. But God said this time your better faith is going to set you up for victory. Because as soon as you take the walk, I'm going to handle your giants. Y'all not listening to me today. All we need to do is take a walk. Tell your neighbor, take a walk. Here it is that God says you need not fight in this battle. But this is time for a faith walk. And so here it is in verse 11. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth is crossing before you into the Jordan. Tell your neighbor, go after it. Briefly, here it is that they found themselves in this place again. How this all comes together. They had to cross Jordan. This is the thing about the promise of God, is that he never makes it so easy that you give yourself credit of how you got it done. He said the first time you didn't have faith to believe it even though you saw it. This time I'm going to put an obstacle before you and I'm going to demonstrate through your obstacle that I'm still with you. But it takes the level of faith for you to even move toward it before manifestation. Most of us want to know how God's going to do it. I had somebody to tell me that I just want to know how God's going to use me. I said, baby, that don't happen that way. He doesn't tell you all that's going to happen, but you have to make up your mind that I'm going to follow it. I'm going for it. So here it is that they had to cross the Jordan. Come on, can I teach this for a second? They had to cross the Jordan. Now, I don't want to, get in trouble about saying this, but God be doing the most sometimes. I mean, come on, can somebody agree with me? God be doing the most sometimes, seriously. Like the Jordan, come on, seriously. It's bad enough with if we couldn't have the faith for the giants, you're going to put a big old river. I ain't provide no boats and nothing. Just tell your neighbor, God be doing it. So here it is that they're standing. I need you to picture this. They're standing before this Jordan and they recognize everything they believed for that's been prophesied is on the other side of this. They have to make a decision. Are we going to go back to the way it was 2023, 22, 21? 2019, are we going to go back? Or are we going to consciously walk forward into the things of God? Am I going to go after it? So this is what God told them. This is the part you got to catch. He told them you have to follow the glory. This is the prophetic piece and I'm almost done. In order for you to get what you desire, you've got to follow the glory. Oh, come on now. The glory, the glory, the glory. This is the thing. This is the thing. Oh, come on. This is the thing. I'm getting excited, Mark. I'm getting excited. That while they're standing there on the edge, the Bible said that the Jordan was at flood stage. Come on now. Y'all not listening. Wait, it's bad enough it's water. And for y'all non-swimming folk, because us people of color, we don't know how to swim. Most of us don't. I know how to swim, but some people over here don't know. Over there, don't know how to swim. I can imagine them saying, "God can't be talking to me because I don't know how to swim." So here it is that not only is it a river, but it is at flood stage. Come on, I need you to grab this. So the river is running over on the banks. And God has you standing there before it saying, what you want is on the other side. How bad do you want it? Oh, I feel God. It's overflowing. But the best thing about this is harvest time. That's what's crazy. This is the time of harvest with flooding. That makes no sense to us in the natural because flooding means that the ground is too soft for too much water. Y'all know. But this is harvest time during flooding season that God said that's when I want you when nobody else can get credit. I want you to stand right there toe to toe and look at your stuff on the other side and make up your mind. I'm going after it. Oh, I need to calm down. I got 4 minutes. I want you to think about this, that my obstacle is an opportunity for God to perform a miracle. I need somebody to write that down. My obstacle. For some, Jordan is an obstacle. I'm so glad that it didn't even affect the people that didn't know how to swim because they were going to walk anyway. Y'all totally missed that. Y'all need to go back and read that. He said that there were no boats because what's going to happen when the priest stepped in the water, I wish I had time to teach that, Bishop. He says when the priest stepped in the water that they're going to back up. It's going to back up. So y'all thought that it was a new song, back that thing up, but God been doing that. God been doing that. You need to read the text. The Bible said as soon as they stepped into the waters, that the waters backed all the way up. See, the Red Sea, they parted, but the Jordan, they backed all the way up. Why? Because I'm coming through. I'm coming through. Come on, and the Bible said that they were coming through on dry ground. Oh, come on, you can see your thing backing up because I'm coming through this time. This is the place where I stopped the last time, but this time is different. This time is different. This time is different. I know I'm facing bad odds and big odds, but this time is different. I know you don't see how I'm going to get out of this, but this time is different. Because why? The Bible told us in the beginning, he says, as soon as you see the glory, as soon as you see the ark, go after it. Oh, come on. This time is not just me by myself. This time is not just my skills, but the glory is going before me. Tell your neighbor, I'm going after it. So here it is. Sit. The miracle, breakthrough. And they find themselves, I'm almost done here. God always asks us to do something that seems so hard for us. I'm talking, and who am I talking to? It just seems like, why can't I just do what they do? They seem to be getting away with so much. Is it just me? Come on, let me see. They can get away with so much. God, I can't get away with nothing. Who am I talking to? Everything I do, I get called out. Is anybody? Who am I talking to? Just like, it just seems so unfair. It just seems so unfair. God, why? Why? He says, my call is so much bigger than this. But this time, he says, I need you to operate in bold faith. You got a different leadership team now because they made up their mind they're going after it. He says, I might not be the best. I might not be the shiniest coin, but I'm going after the glory. And you know they've gone after the glory because the Bible said that the priests created a path for the entire nation to come through. If ain't nobody following you, I would disconnect from them if I was you. It ain't got no influence, something wrong. I'm just telling you, something wrong. Everybody ain't mad at you. Everybody ain't jealous. Everybody ain't against you. You ain't got no influence. That's a problem. So here it is, and I'm coming on here. That Deuteronomy 31:8 says that the Lord goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. He says, do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged in your Jordan experience. Do not be afraid. Don't be discouraged. And so the priests found themselves, and I'm coming in here, they found themselves at the brink of faith and obedience because this time they had to believe what God said. If I step in the water's going to obey me. I know it seems strange. I know it's unlikely. I know it's never been done like this, but I have faith and obedience. And in order for me to live big, to experience better in this next season before 2025, I need faith and obedience. Confession without obedience will leave you empty. It will leave you with promises unfulfilled. Are y'all hearing me today? So here it is. That the leaders decide to go ahead and step in the water. Now, the Bible said they had the ark on their shoulders. Can y'all see this? I can imagine them standing back watching. Say, my mama and daddy told me the first time they came to this place, but they could not experience God. But there is a new anointing on me as the next generation leader. Are y'all getting this? is. So here it is that they're looking at the priest because you've got to put a demand on your leaders. I'm telling y'all to put a demand on them sorry jokers who say I'm called and anointed and ain't doing nothing. I'm telling you right now, say what you working with. God put me under you, what you got. Put a demand on them. I don't care if they get mad. Make them pray when they don't want to pray. You said God called you. I didn't call you. Now walk in it. So here it is that there were no limits in God. Oh my God, that they are walking, they step in this, and I can envision this, Bishop, that this requires a walk. This requires a walk. Tell your neighbor, no swimming necessary. There'll be none of you this time. Come on, tell them. There'll be none of you this time. God don't need none of your skills. You good, boo, you good. But God don't need none of you this time. He's going to keep you out the equation. What he's about to do is so miraculous. It's going to affect the next generation and the next generation. So here it is that they had to move forward. Somebody say forward faith. Oh, come on, somebody say forward faith. If you're going after it, you're going to need forward faith. So here it is. He told them again, verse 3, and he commanded the people, in case you forgot, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of your Lord, the Lord your God, and the priest. Oh, come on, find your clergy members here. I'm looking for you. Come on, tell them I'm looking for you. Find your preachers. They don't want to look at you. Make them jokers turn around and look at you. It says, I'm looking for God and I'm looking for you. And for the priest that ain't said God yet, you too. You know you got a call sitting on your call, and we talking to you too. He says for you, your God, your priests, and the Levites. Or the Levites kept the house, the intercessors too. Bearing it that you shall set out before. We're going to move. We're going to know when to move. Look at him. Say, we're going to know when to move when you move. We're going to know what to do when you move. Because that's when we're going to go after it. So this puts a demand, but listen, check this out. There are 4 things I want to give you, 4 things, and we're going to pray. There are 4 things to move your faith forward. 4 things. Clergy, don't y'all be mad. I'm talking to all of us. Talking to all of us. There are 4 things that you know it is time to move forward in order to go after it. This is not a name it and claim it. This is not a New Year's message or a vision party. You can't put this on a board and find the little cars and houses to put on a board. This is beyond that. This is not a vision party. This is a destination party. And you got to understand that in order for me to receive, to get full promise, I've got to do what God has commanded me. I've got to go through. I'm going after it. Because when I see the glory, my goal is to chase it. Chase after it. So these are 4 things I want you to write down. Number 1, you have to step at Jordan's edge. Tell your neighbor, step to it. You got to step to it. The thing that looks scary, the thing that looks like it's going to overcome you, the thing that has defeated you, because some of y'all got y'all behind whooped by some of that stuff. And now you're shy, you're scared. Now you're scared because you got beat down. Ain't nothing like getting beat up in public. You're scared to walk that same way home. But today, you got to step to it. Say, step to it. Number 2, you got to watch it back up from you. You got to see it. The children of Israel had to watch the waters back up. And if I had time to teach this, the exegetical seminary teacher wanted to tell y'all how far this thing had to back up to a whole nother town. And it emptied into, I wish I could teach that for my Bible people. That thing had to back up so to the town of Adam. Y'all not ready. You got to take that thing back to the beginning. Who grabbed that real quick? See, if I could really teach that, my babies told me yesterday, you're going to behave. I said, I'm going to behave today. I'm going to behave. I'm going to behave today. But the water backed up. So, Bishop, I'll say this to you. You appreciate this. They might not appreciate this. But I realized that the Jordan backs up all the way to the Dead Sea. And see, when you understand Bible, you understand it goes on. The Dead Sea has no outlet. Wait a minute. Has no. That thing is going back all the way up. It has no outlet. It ain't coming back. Arnold Schwarzenegger said only in a rerun. Y'all not getting this. That thing backing all the way up. So here it is. That it backs up. Not Bishop. I'm talking to you. Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you, Bishop? So talk to you. That thing backed up to the Dead Sea. Now wait a minute. I remember studying that the Dead Sea is the lowest place in the world, land, right? Yeah, no. Hold on. It's the lowest land place, but the Jordan is the lowest place of elevation. Look it up. It's the lowest place. It's so low that at the point that the Dead Sea, and this ain't costing y'all nothing, that the Jordan and Dead Sea come together, Bishop, it's below sea level. So the people were walking below. Let me move. Let me. But wait. Below sea level mark. I'm like, wait. You mean to tell me I'm gonna be walking in stuff that should have consumed? For when my mama gave up and my daddy gave up, but they did their part, it's my turn. It's my turn to walk in fulfillment. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm 8. I'm just. See, that was extra stuff. That was extra. Y'all like snacks? That was a snack. There was a snack. You gotta watch the water back up. You gotta see it, Bishop, because so often we pray and we believe God for things that we don't see. We don't have the faith to see it. We close our eyes. We're afraid. We're afraid of the blessing, that it might not happen. The third thing is it opened the path for the entire nation. I bet you will look behind you. There's some people that are coming behind me because the path has been made. And so when the priests began to walk, the entire nation, the Bible said, walked over on dry ground. But they had a decision they had to make right here. The decision to go after it. They had to make a decision. Am I going to stay on land and comfortability? Am I going to remain the position, the person that I am? Am I going to go after it? Am I going to walk in something I've never walked in before? Am I going after something that God has promised me? Am I refusing to settle? I'm going after it. I can imagine them talking to themselves, because that's what happens. They get them a partner. You going? I ain't going. You going? You know misery loves company. Come on, y'all. Talk to me. I ain't going. They going. Now I ain't going this time. You going to the thing? You going to the prayer? I ain't going. Stay right there. Stay right there, because you got to make up for yourself. I'm going after it. This time I'm chasing the glory, not people, not personality. I'm chasing the glory. I'm a glory chaser. He told me when you see the ark that you need to go after it. You say, what are you chasing? I'm chasing the glory of God, because that's where my liberty is. That's where my freedom is, in the glory of God. Oh my God. So here it is. And I'm done. And they had to make the decision to go after the glory. And I'm going to end right here. You have to make up your mind. Some of you are so comfortable in wilderness. You have made a teepee your home. You done set up internet. That's your home. And you said it's okay because this is where God put me. No, that's where you put yourself. He says that you have to get to promise. He doesn't change his mind. There's a place, a call to live big. He didn't change his mind. There's a promise for better. But you have to make up your mind. I'm going after it. There's so many things you say you want. And I'm going to give you this right quick. There's a divine appointment that's awaiting you. Can I give y'all this? Can y'all give me? Let me give you this. Because I don't want you to leave. I realize I'm way over my time. But there are 4 more things I need to give you quickly that you know it is an appointment for me. There's a divine appointment for me. Because things are going to receive this prophetic peace. Government is changing. And this is going to be one of the most challenging times for the world. And if you don't understand that promise belongs to you, you will be consumed by the changes that are coming. Are you receiving this today? So some of you, God is nudging you. I know I'm talking to you. I saw you. He's nudging you. He says, get out of that place of transition. Constant redo, restart. He says, walk out of that and go all the way after it to the other side. And one of the ways you know is there is pressure. There's a pressure of elevation upon you. Come on, I'm talking to you now. You feel the weight of the assignment on you. I'm not going to even say who I'm talking to because I know I'm talking to. You feel the pressure of elevation on you, which is why you get frustrated because you're stuck. They were stuck 400 years, 40 years before they reached promise. That's a long time to be stuck. To be God's elect and be stuck. To be God's chosen and to live beneath. So number 1 is to feel the pressure of elevation. Number 2, there's a cost. I need you to write this down. You feel the pressure. You're still trying to do you and it ain't working. Number 2, there's a cost. There's a decision to continue. It requires us to sacrifice. But our circumstances will always tell us the time is not right. Are you with me? Number 3, there is opposition between you and the promise. Number 1, you feel the pressure of elevation. Number 2, there's a cost that you really don't want to pay. Number 3, there is opposition standing between you and the promise. There's always a barrier. I don't know what your barrier is today because we don't have the physical Jordan, but all of us have a Jordan. We make the decision to watch God back it up and let us come through. But the only way that happens is if the glory goes first. Our personalities and giftings are not enough to go forward. We need the glory of God to magnetize us, to pull us in the direction He desires us to go. Number 4, big faith must be applied. Number 1, the pressure of elevation is on you. Number 2, there is a cost that you really don't want to pay. Number 3, there is opposition between you and the promise. Number 4, big faith, bold faith must be applied. Grab this and we're getting ready to pray. If you don't adhere and go after the glory, you will be a repeat offender. And there's something about the system. Once you go into the system, they set you up to be a repeat offender, which is why they remove all the resources from you. Everything that you needed in the beginning to make it, they take that from you because they make money on you being a repeat offender. So they watch your habits and they create opportunities for you to fall in that same category. And this is what happens when, with God, we become repeat offenders when we don't adhere to what He said and we don't take His promise, we don't receive. We get right there on the edge of what He said and turn around. We turn our backs, we become repeat offenders. Right there, rest on your feet. Last passage is Isaiah 43:2. My apologies for going a little long today. I had to teach and prepare the ground for this. It says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. I want to leave you with this today. Who's hiring? Your faith needs a job. Who's hiring today? Employ your faith. The only thing that could get them through on the other side of the Jordan was for them to have better faith than their forefathers had. Circumstances, the promise remain intact. God does not shift and change so that you can get it. He changes you so that you can receive it. You have to make the decision, I'm going after it. Some of you were pursuing God so strong, and you started pursuing other things, and now you've watered down, and he's not a priority to you, and you're not even experiencing him the way you used to. I said something the other day, and I'm getting ready to pray to somebody I know. Somebody's very close to me, and they have a prophetic nature. They actually are a prophet, but they do not want to be one. So sometimes God deals with them in a prophetic way, and it really bothers them because they don't want to be bothered in that way. And they said something to me. I reminded them of something they said to me prophetic years ago. And they said to me, I said that, what did I say? And I told them what they said. And I told them, I said, well, you don't flow like that often, so it's very strange to you. When you commit to God, and you said, I'm going after the glory, it becomes a part of you. Your gift will always be strange. The voice of God will always be strange to you. You won't know his voice until you go after his glory. It was their identifier. Are y'all hearing me today? This word is so personal, and it's a very evaluative word. I was so glad y'all shouted before. Because I said, well, it's not a shouting word today. Bishop and I call them, we're going to do it messages. But this is a freedom message before 25 gets here. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's hindering you. I don't care what's going on in your life. Nobody is hindering you. You have to speak to your Jordan. I'm going after the glory. If I have to go by myself. Because promise, the land of sustainability, is on the other side. You don't have to beg God. Stop begging God. Stop begging people. People are so fickle. You're depending on them. And God says, I already paved the way for you. I wasn't going to open the altar today. I was just going to do a general prayer. But God told me, he said, no, open the altar. Because we're going into a season of acceleration. How many of y'all feel like 2024 went through real fast? Yeah. It's just like, it's ridiculous, right? God said to me, not only are the natural times moving quickly, he said, I am also. You don't have as much time as you had before to make up your mind. There are some things that are going to come quickly upon you. Receive this from the prophet. That he says, I've already prepared for you, but if you don't pay attention, you'll be swallowed by something that you had a release for. Can we receive this today? This altar call, and I'm going to do an altar call today, is only for those who make the decision to face their Jordan. I don't know what your Jordan is. I got my own Jordan. Literally and figuratively. But you have to make up your mind, I'm going after the glory. Watch God back it up from you. The altar's open quickly. This is an acceleration. Don't delay. He said, I'm going after it. You're not going to necessarily get an audience. You might not get the encouragement. I'm going after it. I'm going after it. I'm going after it. There's a generation behind you that needs it. So I'm going after it. Come on to Jesus. I'm going after it. Tired of waiting for something to happen. And some of us have been in the faith a long time, It's like we waiting for something to happen. Like, just, God, when? I'm going after it. This prayer and this message was so personal because there's so many things in my heart, my mind to do, and I don't know how. And there are obstacles that are standing before me. Anybody got big dreams, big visions? You're just like, where all these crazy ideas come from? God says, faith walk. This one requires a walk. To go after it, you're going to have tenacity and boldness. And I want you to imagine them standing there looking at that water, thinking all the ancestors that died out between them getting back there to that place. The stories that have been told. And that's for the people that told you you can't do it. Come on, I'm coming down your road. They told you that you can't do it because they couldn't do it. There it is. Yeah. They can't see it. They're not trying to be mean. They're not even trying to be a hater. But just like the leaders said, we cannot take the land. The land is pretty. It has a lot of stuff, but we can't take it because we saw ourselves as grasshoppers. We have a responsibility. I want to pray with these at the altar. And someone kind of on the fence, like, I go all the time. I don't want to go. I tell you what. The Bible says the day that you hear my voice, harden not your heart. This may be the day, your day. I remember the day that I told God yes for real. I told him yes a lot of times because I wanted the pressure to be relieved. Am I telling the truth? I want that pressure to relieve. Yes, God. Yes, God. But when I really went after the glory of God, it didn't matter that I didn't know a bunch of scriptures. It didn't know that my mama and daddy weren't preachers. It didn't matter that I didn't have all the answers. I wanted the glory. And God said, when you see it, go after it. The glory is not explainable. But you can't stay in the wilderness and follow the glory too. It doesn't work. Are y'all with me? I do want Bishop to come and pray. Yeah, I did what you do to me.